can zone out 24/7 without ever turning on your flappy brain. Eat, shit, laugh. 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 People, yeah, you. Take a look at yourselves. Billions of comments all over the web, and they're mostly shit. And only a few get the actual message. You are slow on the draw, human beings. You are slow on the draw. If you've already heard everything, then why haven't you done anything to make changes in your lives? You're so damn tough and certain you're right, aren't you all? And what if you got chained to a radiator with a baseball bat sticking right in your face? Where will that toughness and certainty go now? Into your pants with all your adrenaline?
As aliens are, they're extra-dimensional beings that an earlier precursor of the space program made contact with. They are not what they claim to be. They have infiltrated a lot of aspects of the military establishment, particularly the Area 51. The disasters that are coming, the government knows about them, and there's a lot of safe areas in this world that they could begin moving the population to now aren't.
But they're not doing anything.
They are not. They want the major population centers wiped.
Christianity, that we're not to have anything to do with astrology, because that is evil and of the devil. Until we begin to look at the Old Testament in the language that it was written in. And we're going to find that the Old Testament, like the New Testament, is nothing more than the entire story of the zodiac. The Hebrews, when they were in Egypt, were of course subject to the religion of Egypt. And at that time, Isis, the female personification of wisdom, from whence of course we get Mary in the Catholic Church, the Mother of God. Later on, with the coming of Pharaoh Akhenaten, Pharaoh Akhenaten changed the worship in Egypt from Isis to Amun-Ra or Amun-Ra. So Amun-Ra became the chief deity of Egypt. Now, once the Hebrews left out of Egypt and went north into Palestine, they found a new god there of the Canaanites, a god that is referred to as the Ugaritic god. That god was El, or the planet Saturn. The Hebrews then picked up the worship of the planet Saturn, or El, the Ugaritic god, and combining the Isis worship with the Amun-Ra worship, and lastly with the El, Saturn, or the god El, they formulate their new land based on the three concepts of God: Isis, Ra, El, or Israel, Israel.
He is your God. Everyone believes in it. It's the source of everything, and it can even work miracles from time to time. Wow. This God has apostles, millionaires, whose sacred lives you examine with such enthusiasm. Each of you regularly takes the sacrament of communion, receiving an envelope that contains a piece of the holy flesh.
Are trapped in here in space and time, and your concept of God, your ability to even conceive God, is trapped in this thing. Jesus Christ said in Matthew 6, verse 25, "Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life."
Heard of the new sport called quiet tennis? It's like normal tennis, but without the racket. Why did the god of thunder need to stretch his leg muscles? He was a little Thor. Why do I see Mike Tyson saying that?
Now, kid.
Oh, it looks like half a tree. The other half. I'm going home. I don't think he's coming back.
You know, that y'all can see shit when you picture it in your head? Are you kidding me?
I came across this video and thought it was awesome. Watch the whole thing if you have a chance. So I thought that everybody in life could do this. I've been doing it since I was a little kid. I thought that everybody could see pictures in their head or movies. So basically, like, if you tell me a story, when I listen to you, my brain turns it into like moving pictures. It's just how I thought everybody did things. Turns out, not everybody does this. My best friend, he's an electrical engineer. He's very ones and zeros. He doesn't do this. And he told me point blank, I don't have anything going on like that inside my head. So when I explained to him what I saw, thought it was fascinating. So now he knows that when he tells me a story, and I kind of get that like far off zoned out look, my imagination is going crazy and I'm seeing all kinds of stuff. Does it happen to you?
Get your precious. Now pay attention. How do you get the data off of the flash drive? Because you don't really know anything. The only proof you have that you're from the future is this little hunk of plastic and metal. You've got nothing to tell the mom. And without proof, anything you say to them is going to sound like, and at best, this is where you'll end up.
Suck at meditation. And if you have ADHD, you better watch this all the way through. You suck at meditation because you think meditation is about clearing your mind, staying focused, when in actuality, all those things are a result of meditation, not what meditation itself is. Like, remember, meditation is a practice. And so if you have distractions while you're practicing meditation, great job, because you can't practice meditation without having distractions in the first place. How are you supposed to practice meditation if you don't got anything to practice with? So the more that you acknowledge the distractions and go back to your focus, because meditation is focusing on one thing, which is why people with ADHD be meditating all the time and don't even know it. So stop with the narrative that people with ADHD can't meditate because y'all the best at it.
What if I told you that your existence started with a spark of light, and not just an egg and a sperm? Let me show you actual footage of the moment life begins. It's called the zinc spark, and it happens the moment the sperm fuses with the egg. When that happens, the egg releases a burst of zinc ions, creating this incredible light show. But it's not just for looks. This spark is essential. It locks out other sperm to make sure only one gets in, and it activates the egg to start dividing and growing. It's the first step in the process that led to you. Scientists discovered this spark happens because the egg is activated by the sperm's fusion, which causes a surge of calcium and triggers the zinc release. Without this, the egg couldn't start its journey to becoming an embryo. You could call it a chemical reaction, and you wouldn't be wrong. But let me ask you this. If life begins with a flash of energy, what does that say about what you are? That spark didn't disappear. It's in every thought, every heartbeat, and every breath you take. It's all powered by the same force that lit up the very beginning of your life. You're not just flesh and blood, you're a walking, living field of energy. So the next time you wonder what you are, remember you're not just a body made of cells. You're light, you're energy, and it all started with a spark.
People just don't know what they've done. You've woken up Gen X. I mean, you just don't understand what you've done. Gen X, their first lesson in science was to take a magnifying glass and angle it just so the sun comes through it and torch live bugs, burn them to death. These people literally spent their childhood beating the shit out of each other just to be best friends for life after. Pain doesn't exist for these people. They would play tackle football in the middle of the street on the concrete and then yell car when a car was coming. While kids today are eating sour candy as a challenge, Gen X literally impressed girls by putting cigarettes out on their tongue. They would literally take a lighter and heat up the metal on the top of a lighter and then turn it upside down and burn their skin just because they wanted a smiley face. I mean, you're talking about a whole generation of people that rode around in cigarette smoke-filled cars with no seatbelts, let alone airbags. These people grew up being borderline tortured. When they got in trouble, their parents would send them outside to pick a switch, a long, skinny stick that was flexible enough to cut through the air and cut flesh. If they did not pick a suitable switch, they were made to go get another one, and it just got worse. And then, if they ever hurt themselves and fell off their bike and scraped their knee or whatever, they would wear these wounds like badges of honor. And even though we hurt ourselves, we would then go inside to see our parents, and they would pour peroxide on that shit. It would bubble and sizzle and turn all red. We would make shit like badges of honor. Gen X was wild. We would have 4th of July. We would shoot Roman candles at each other, bottle rockets and shit. While y'all are standing 30 and 40 feet back from whoever setting the fireworks off, we were in the middle of that shit, usually turning it upside down and shooting it in our face. I mean, Gen X has cheated death our entire life. All we wanted to do was sleep and rest. And you goofy bastards have made it absurd enough to live on this rock that we are coming out of retirement just to burn this bitch down to spite you, and then hopefully we can go back to sleep. If not, we'll stay awake and we'll just keep the fire going, because Gen X don't quit. Y'all gonna learn one of these days.
Powers you have if you have ADHD. Number 1 is hyperfocus. This is where you are super zoned in on one single thing while neglecting every single thing else. That can be a superpower. Number 2 is open-mindedness. When you have ADHD, a lot of the times it's easier for you to change your mind than other people. So you could be having a conversation with someone, a debate, and you could be more shifted in your opinion than the normal person would. A lot of people get stuck in their ways and never change their thoughts and get stuck in cognitive dissonance. If you have ADHD, it's a little bit easier for you to potentially shift and change your opinion. That's awesome. Number 3, you have an interest-based nervous system, meaning you follow dopamine, right? So you have omnipotential. You can accomplish anything that you want as long as you can stay engaged with it. If you can't stay engaged, you get a little bit off track, but if you can use that hyper focus to accomplish anything. Follow us for tips on how to do this.
Oh, goodness, how incredibly much I've missed you, my precious, darling know-it-alls, my clever boys and girls, my kitties and bunnies. I see from the tears in your eyes that you haven't forgotten about your bestest buddy, good old Freeman, and that you're ready to keep on solving riddles and searching for messages. But we don't have much time, so let's concentrate on what's important. The world has finally gone completely bonkers, and so today I'm pleased to say my traveling circus is now presenting a completely new show. How guys came up with our money!
There were grandpas and there were turnips, but there was no dough. People would just exchange what they had for what they needed, like a turnip for a wagon and the wagon for a jug of wine. A simple and easy to understand system. And if there wasn't enough of something like nails or arrowheads due to the fact that almost no one knew how to work with metal, then obviously those things were worth more. Later, people started exchanging rare metals, and if someone got rich, they would carry around half a ton of gold with them like an idiot. It was inconvenient, and you could get robbed. So people decided to turn in their heavy objects for safekeeping. And that's how banks came about. They chopped up everything they got into equal chunks and introduced the gold standard. And the notes from the banks that promised the bearer metal in exchange eventually turned into paper money.
It was all simple and clear. There was no way for a bourgeois to line his pockets. But quite recently, with the help of some clever words and some wise-ass verbal gymnastics, all of the dough makers managed to abolish the gold standard. Which means they screwed everybody.
Okay, yesterday you told us you traveled, and I quote, thousands of light years to get here. Gosh. Tell us the truth, or the word, or never we hear. It is truth. I fall off. Fall off spiritual. To travel in time is to travel in space. All from spiritual devotions. So I take it aliens took over our future, right? So you're human. Okay, so you evolved from us.
I do believe in God, but not the way that most people believe in God. What, you believe in some like niche mythology or something? No, not that either. Do you know what anthropocentrism is? Bless you? Anthropocentrism is the belief that humans are the center of the universe. It's built into our brains to think that we're the center of everything because we're the center of our own conscious reality. Right. Like if we were somehow able to ask any other animal species what they thought God looked like, they'd probably say it was created in their image as well. Because when that's the reality you have to go off of, that's just what makes sense to you. Okay, I can see that. So you think God's not a person? I think stories are personified to get information across easier. Like if you think of the Greeks and the Romans, they personified these powers of nature like the ocean or a thunderstorm. Because in their mind, a person is controlling all of that. It's just what their brain was hardwired to assume. Okay, I'm following. But I think removing the personification doesn't take away the godlike aspects of it. The ocean is terrifying. But if I told you there was a formless entity controlling the waves instead of some guy in an underwater castle, does that make it any less of a god? I guess not. If anything, it sounds more like an all-powerful being. Exactly. So when people write books about gods or a god having very human personality traits, saying if you're good, you'll go one place, if you're bad, you'll go another place, just sounds a lot like human ideals made by our own evolutionary programming. But you do think there is a god. I guess I see God as like an ocean of creation, and it makes the universe out of ice sculptures, galaxies and planets and people, and for a while we think that we are the shape that they put us in. We are that ice sculpture, and we're separate from the creator and we're separate from each other, but in reality we're all made of the same stuff. And at the end of the day, we're gonna melt back into it and get turned into something else. Would that mean that we're all God? Maybe. But who knows, right?
Or how those non-stop don't repeated endlessly by your parents turned into meaningless yammering? Then you'd answer it with, sorry, won't do it again, honest, ever. I promise you. When really you weren't planning to do anything? All your, in 5 minutes, we'll start it on Monday. It was the last time. I'm stuck in traffic. Is nothing but a pile of rustling trash. That you're always burping from your filthy mouths right into each other's ears. When it was not so long ago that they were sincere.
So you can learn on Earth is how to manipulate energy. So what does that mean? Create. You have to learn how to create. There's only 2 rules about creating your reality. You never create anything that will harm any other person. And you never create anything that will take away from another person. You obey those 2 rules, you can have absolutely anything you want. There are no limitations except what you put on yourself. You help create universes, you help create planets, you help create water, you created everything. Look what a powerful being you are. You did these things. Now you're in a human body, you forget the power you have. Nothing is impossible.
I had to take like an ADHD test to get it, and one of the first questions was, do you ever finish other people's sentences for them while they're talking? And I was like, no, that's rude. And she goes, did you ever do that as a kid? And I was like, yeah, all the time. And she was like, all right, so now as an adult, when someone's speaking, do you mentally finish their sentences for them, but still wait for them to finish? And I was like, yeah, doesn't everyone? She was like, no. And I was like, what? I have done that for my entire life. You're telling me that when people are talking, you don't try to finish what their sentences because they're taking too long? And she was like, no, that's insane. And I was like, what? But how do you have an answer ready by the time they're done talking if you don't try to figure out what the end of the sentence is? And she was like, you don't. I was like, oh.
Stated, the aliens would not interfere in our affairs and we would not interfere in theirs. We were particularly interested that they do not interfere with anything that would affect our future. We would keep their presence on Earth a secret. They would furnish us with advanced technology and would help us in our technological development. They would not make any treaty with any other Earth nation. They could abduct humans on a limited and periodic basis for the purpose of medical examination and monitoring of our development with the stipulation that the humans would not be harmed, would be returned to their point of abduction, that the humans would have no memory of the event, and that the alien nation would furnish MJ-12 with a list of all human contacts and abductees on a regularly scheduled basis. It was agreed that each nation would receive the ambassador of the other for as long as the treaty remained in force. It was further agreed that the alien nation and the United States would exchange 16 personnel each to the other with the purpose of learning each of the other. The alien guests would remain on Earth and the human guests would travel to the alien point of origin for a specified period of time, then return.
something feels off, it's off. If something feels like it's not quite right, then it's not quite right. If you're getting kind of weird vibes that you shouldn't trust somebody, don't trust them. See, your intuition never lies. The issue isn't your intuition. The issue is you have not found the courage to listen to it, to questioning it. That will change the moment you start to act based on your intuition. So if you walk into a room and it just doesn't feel like the right place for you to be, leave. If you meet somebody and you don't feel like yourself, that's probably not a good person for you to be around. If the vibes are off, believe the vibes. Your intuition isn't lying. And the more you start acting based on it, the stronger and louder and better it's going to get.
A good man knows that God is his source. That's why you can't keep him down. A good man can be disappointed, but he won't allow it to defeat him. A good man is faithful, and he'll always be there. So to all the good men out there, I love you, brothers. Believe that.
I think the worst thing they ever did to themselves is they woke you up to your true potential. Through trying to sabotage you. That's the funny part. Huh? Oh, they done fucked up now, boy. Here's the best part, right? They were just trying to get your attention. They wanted to be seen by you. Could you imagine that? They know that you were ignoring them because their intentions were wrong and they just couldn't go about it like a gentleman or a lady or a squire. You know, it's ridiculous.
Sigma's self-talk. Sigmas talk to themselves, and let me tell you, it's not crazy, it's calculated. Self-talk is the ultimate tool of the Sigma mindset. While everyone else seeks validation from the outside world, a Sigma goes inward. Here's the truth. When a Sigma self-talks, he's not just talking, he's strategizing. He's breaking down his thoughts, analyzing his next move, and aligning himself with his goals. It's like having an unshakable advisor in his head, and that advisor is himself. But it's not just about planning. Self-talk keeps a Sigma grounded. In a world full of distractions, noise, and people trying to pull you in every direction, self-talk reminds the Sigma of who he is and what he stands for. It reinforces his mission, sharpens his focus, and builds unbreakable confidence. And here's what makes it even more powerful. Self-talk is a form of control. By speaking to himself, the Sigma rewires his brain to think in solutions, not problems. He doesn't need motivation from others because he's his own source of strength. That's why a Sigma never crumbles under pressure. He's already coached himself through every possible scenario. So why do Sigmas self-talk? Simple. It's not a weakness. It's their edge. It's how they stay 3 steps ahead of everyone else while remaining untouchable. A Sigma knows the most important voice he'll ever hear is his own, and he makes sure it's always clear, focused, and powerful. Why Sigmas self-talk? Sigmas talk to themselves, and let me...
How to respect yourself in 2025. 1. Stop looking for who is not looking for you. 2. Stop begging. 3. Stop saying more than necessary. 4. When people disrespect you, confront them immediately. 5. Don't eat other people's food more than they eat yours. 6. Reduce how you visit some people, especially if they don't reciprocate it. 7. Invest in yourself. Make yourself happy. 8. Stop entertaining gossip about other people. 9. Think before you talk. 80% of how people value you is what comes out of your mouth. 10. Always look your best. Dress the way you should be addressed. 11th. Be an achiever. Get busy with your goals. 12. Respect your time. 13. Don't stay in a relationship where you don't feel respected and valued. Walk away. 14. Learn to spend money on yourself. That's how people will learn to spend on you. 15. Be scarce sometimes. 16. Be a giver more than a receiver. 17. Don't go where you are not invited. And when invited, don't overstay your welcome. 18. Treat people exactly the way you want to be treated. 19. Except they owe you money, 2 call attempts is enough. If they value you, they will call you back. 20. Be good at what you do.
See it in your mind, visualize it, it must happen. That's a law of the universe. I want you to think about what it is you want in your life, but be specific. See it as already done, already accomplished. Don't worry about how it's going to happen. And it will happen in a way that you would never, ever in a million years figure it's going to happen. You say, I've got to do this and this and this. You're limiting to them as the only possible way it can happen. Just say, this is what I want. See it as already done, already accomplished. They fill in the blanks. If you can see it in your mind, visual.
He'll have traits of the alpha and the beta, but he supersedes the alpha. He carry both traits. He can go in any environment and play like a beta. He can lead like an alpha. But his traits supersede the alpha male. So tell them motherfuckers start studying that male, the sigma male. Cause they just be talking.
Sigmas are horrifying because they are everything society can't control. They don't play by the rules, they don't seek validation, and they don't need anyone's approval to exist. They're the wolves who move silently in the dark, unnoticed, until it's too late. What makes a Sigma terrifying isn't their aggression, it's their calm. While others argue, posture, and scramble for power, the Sigma watches, calculates, and waits. They're not loud or flashy, but when they move, it's precise, intentional, and devastating. They don't waste energy on pointless conflict. They only strike when it matters, and when they do, it's game over. Sigmas are the masters of detachment. They can walk away from anything or anyone without hesitation. That unnerves people because most rely on emotional ties to keep control. But you can't control someone who doesn't fear loss. A Sigma's ability to let go is their ultimate weapon, and it's chilling to anyone who tries to manipulate or trap them. And then there's their mind. Sigmas think 10 steps ahead. They don't get caught up in distractions or emotional traps because they see the bigger picture. They're strategic, logical, and unshakable. While others panic, they adapt. While others follow the herd, they carve their own path. That kind of independence is a direct threat to systems built on conformity and control. What's truly horrifying is that Sigmas don't need to dominate you. They just outmaneuver you. They don't play the game to win. They change the rules. And before you realize it, they've already moved past you, leaving you scrambling to understand what just happened. Sigmas are horrifying not because they seek power, but because they don't need it. They don't care about fitting in, and they can't be swayed by money, fame, or influence. They exist on their own terms, and that terrifies a world that thrives on control.